Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐟𝐸𝐵 Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐟𝐸𝐵 Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's John.
I am juiced up and ready to go. It is a Friday edition of the program, as you can see right there on the screen, episode 171, and Logan Webb is Major League Baseball's most underrated ace. We'll tell you why. We'll give you the numbers. I even did a little piece on it yesterday that I released this morning that I'll replay this morning on the show, but there's a ton to get to today. Beyond just the Giants, Rafael Devers' old team, the Red Sox are in town, and so that is a big deal for Rafael Devers. We'll get into that. Plus, there are some odds on Rafael Devers, as crazy as that is. Welcome. The chalkboard, which we'll get to in a second, which leads us to episode 171. It is John Lund. Thank you so much. About 30 years in the sports radio industry, KNBR for years and years, even 95.7 The Game, Detroit, Dallas, all over the country. So I hope I have a unique perspective that you will find fairly entertaining. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here around 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Keep those alerts on because we do stuff all through the day as we did yesterday. A few pieces of sound that the Lund loyalists got first before anybody else. But a couple of things before we get going, before we give roll call on this TJF Friday edition of the show. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. If you're watching on Instagram at John Lund Radio, X at John Lund Radio, on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn page, Facebook, whether it be my personal page, we can be friends, or on John Lund Unleashed. However you are watching, you can migrate over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, and you can hang out in the chat room with everybody. You can subscribe to the channel. You can tell all your friends and enemies, and of course, we'd love it if you gave us a follow, a like, and put those alerts on so we can bug you with stuff throughout the day. Also, that big B you see in the left-hand corner, that is the Bay Area Sports Collective. That is a number of different Bay Area people doing YouTube shows under one umbrella. A lot of ex-KNBR guys like me, Tom Tolbert, Polymac, Creative Tony, Polymax Particles, also Rod Brooks, Quality Hang, and the great Amy G, and finally, Jeremy Affeldt, former San Francisco Giant. All of that at Bay Area Sports Collective. So please make sure that you subscribe not only on John Lund Unleashed, but on the Bay Area Sports Collective as well. So good morning to everybody. Make sure you do those things if you would. That would be absolutely outstanding for all things Unleashed. Simply go to johnlundunleashed.com. We have podcasts there that we drop, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast, archives of podcasts, shows, blog, social media links, all those kind of things. Email, you can hit me up there as well. So go to johnlundunleashed.com. And thank you for making the time today. Very simple. In episode 171, Logan Webb again dominant, and the Giants, the G-men, the Gigantes, get one from the Guardians over that 3-game set, and they start with Boston tonight. We'll get into that. Do the Giants need another bat? I don't have the most exciting bat in the world for you, but I do have a bat. Let me see if I still have it up here. If not, I'm going to have to go back to something that I was just reading a moment ago. It's not going to make you overly excited, but it would be an interesting one, not to the level of Devers, and they're not going to do that again, but I'll explain that. Red Sox are in town, and there's some weird Devers odds of what's going to happen starting tonight over at Oracle. Jeff Bezos, he could own the Rays. How interesting would that be? It's unfortunate because he probably just wants a baseball team, and if John Fisher would sell the A's, he is selling the soccer team, but that would be cool if he sold the A's to Jeff Bezos. And all of a sudden, the A's would go from the outhouse to the penthouse, a AAA ballpark to probably a palace, and probably not in Las Vegas. Indy forces Game 7 against OKC. Jonathan Kuminga, we'll start talking about that. I thought today we'd be talking about the offseason. I thought Oklahoma City would win, but the Pacers blew him out and then held on at the end. Nick Martin, I heard a rumor yesterday that maybe the rookie out of Oklahoma State has a broken thumb. Random things happen throughout the show, and a sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol, which we will feature. And the reason I was a minute or two late was that there was a couple of videos, baseball videos that I wanted from last night. We'll just run those in the caboose today, one between the Dodgers and the Padres, and one a Cubs fan. I don't know if you saw him climbing the net after a foul ball, and then you can't do that, so they kick you out of the game, which is a complete bummer because you get a ball, it's no big deal. Guy Anyway, I'll show you the video a little bit in the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Lots of great videos, audio today, pictures, stuff like that to keep you entertained. So make sure that you hang around. Happy Friday to everybody. John Joseph, it is great to see you. Perry, that is awesome. Yeah, that's right. Webb is yelling, happy bottom of the pipe day. I don't know if Krug is in town. I'm going to have to double check on that one. Hello, Scott. It is great to see you. Christopher is a Lund loyalist. Thank you very much. Jake, yes, but we got to do a Red Sox Giants bottom of the pint, don't we, tonight for Rafael Devers and that whole thing and how weird that is going to be. And there's all sorts of conflicting stories, which I will try to cut through today. Enrique, it is good morning to see, or good morning to you, and it's good to see you. Catalina, it is not a show without Catalina or Dom, who is here today. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Top of the morning. I always like that too. When somebody said, I don't know what your favorite morning phrase is. I guess just good morning, right? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Top of the morning is a pretty good one, by the way, and especially when it is a Friday edition. Joy is here this morning. That is absolutely outstanding. Tommy, good morning to you, my friend. Man, we got a lot of people in the room today on a Friday. Enrique, Kenny is here today. How about them Giants? Yeah, very nice. I don't know what they would do without Wilmer Flores. What was Wilmer? 4 home runs, 23 RBIs last year. Now he's over, 50 RBIs on the season. And every time he comes up, and Bob Melvin said this yesterday, every time he comes up, you just expect him to get the hit. And more times than not, he doesn't. He's having an amazing season. Ryan is here. Pine Needle Vrock 408 is here. Anthony, good morning. These are all people that are in the chat room. If you're new around here, you're like, what's going on? Come over to John Lund Unleashed. Hang out in the chat room. You don't even have to say anything. If you would say hi, good morning, whatever, top of the morning, that would be outstanding. But it's a great group of people. It's a lot of fun. We keep it real. Plus, everybody is just like, hey, man, you can have your own opinion. It's totally cool, man. We don't get mad at people. I don't agree with you. That's cool. No worries. So anyway, good to see everybody on this Friday for episode 171. All right. Logan Webb, I don't know what else to say, to be honest with you. He is baseball's most underrated ace. And I did a little bit of research. I'm going to play a couple of minutes for you of this video that I posted this morning. But let me just give you a couple of things first. Obviously, yesterday, he is awesome. There he is in the month of June, 2-0 with 161 over those 28 innings, 4 starts. That's 7 innings per, which is impressive nowadays. 30 strikeouts over those 28 innings, 3 bases on balls, and an 8.86 whip for Logan Webb. So, look, around here, we understand that. I put these things out so that I can basically say to everyone, hey, man, look at this craziness that this guy is putting up. And one more slide, and then I'll throw the video up there for you. These are the best pitchers in baseball. Nobody's saying that he's better than 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿 right now. I mean, he's just having an amazing season. But if you just, again, wins and losses, whatever. He's 7-5 now, by the way. He's not 6-5. He's 7-5, and that's 16 games started. But over 10 strikeouts per 9, which I don't think the league is caught up. They're just looking at ground ball rate with him. He is 1.91 base on balls, which isn't normally like him. His home run rate is down, and you look at all that other kind of stuff, left on base percentage, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just simply saying that, 𝐼𝐸𝐫𝐿 and 𝐸𝐶𝐽 are seen as the top 2 pitchers in baseball right now. And if you just look at Logan's numbers, and again, they're better than that. That was before yesterday where he pitched phenomenal again. That's just what he does. And so he's up there statistically with those guys. He's pitching just as well. And I think 𝐸𝐶𝐽 is going to get the start for the National League. 𝐸𝐶𝐽 is going to get the start for the American League and the All-Star game. But Logan Webb is going to be there 100%. He might be the second best pitcher in the National League going right now. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but behind 𝐸𝐶𝐽, he's probably number 2 on the list. That's just how good he has been. So I did a little bit of a video that I put out this morning, and I want to throw it in there for you. And I got some numbers and stats and all that kind of stuff. I took myself off the screen, which is probably the best video I've ever done in my life, but you can see all the analytics, and I gave you enough time to look at all these analytics for him. So take a look at this, or take a listen. And it's about 2 minutes long. This is why, in my opinion, Logan Webb right now is baseball's most underrated pitcher. Baseball's most dominant pitchers was still a secret. Well, for Logan Webb of the Giants, that's what reality is. In 2025, 2.58 ERA and a career-high 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, yet when the best pitchers or top 10 lists are named, Logan Webb isn't there. Well, let's see why. One reason Webb flies under the radar, his past. Historically, Logan Webb, a ground ball pitcher, often leading Major League Baseball in grounders. His strikeout rate is over 10 per 9 innings, thanks to a new sweeper and a better changeup. He's more dominant, but the quote-unquote ground ball pitcher label sticks, and the narrative hasn't caught up. Also, because the Giants have not been championship contenders recently, which means the national spotlight doesn't follow him around. Plus, he's been great, but he hasn't gotten the run support, so he doesn't have the greatest win-loss record, which, because mainstream media, some still do that, they overvalue the win, and he doesn't have enough of those. He's the only pitcher with 200-plus innings in both 23 and 24, and as of right now, he leads Major League Baseball with 12 quality starts. Because he's not throwing 100 miles an hour, he doesn't always get the headlines. The advanced stats reveal Logan Webb's elite status. Numbers like FIP, xERA, F4, look him up, consistently rank him among the best. Despite his stats, Webb is often snubbed for top 10 pitchers list, while some are finally noticing. MLB Network has him ninth, Just Baseball has him as a Cy Young candidate. We just saw it again today. Absolutely dominant. He's not just the Giants ace, he's one of the best in baseball, and it's time he gets his credit. So give me your thoughts. Is Logan Webb baseball's most underrated pitcher? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're watching John Lund Unleashed every morning, all day long, for breaking sports news and more. Subscribe at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. All right, shameless plug there at the end, and let me take this off the screen, and I'll show you something here that is there, because if you couldn't see those numbers. But again, look, I'm not overly analytical. I watch the games, but here's what I can tell you about that chart right there. If you're not overly into analytics, because baseball is so driven by them, red is good. All right. So look at all that. Look at that chart. The 3 of the first 4 red, red again, dark red. The darker, the better. Look at the bottom. Red, 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 red. Red rum. So all those numbers are good numbers for Logan Webb. And look, you've been watching him for years, so you know. But here's the one thing, and some people in the chat room are saying this. He's up over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, which that hasn't normally been him. The mainstream media is slow to come around because the Giants don't have and haven't had a good record. Now, maybe in this regard, Rafael Devers is going to help, because hopefully they're near the top of the NL West. They stay up near the top of the NL West. They can challenge the Dodgers. They can get deep into the playoffs, because since 10, 12, and 14, they haven't been relevant. 16, they had a short playoff run that, of course, the Cubs cut short. But short of that, the Giants really haven't been in the spotlight. So that doesn't help. He's 7-5 now. Most people in baseball have realized what wins and losses mean, but some people in the mainstream media who don't really pay attention, i.e. the talking head shows during the day, who don't know anything. They don't care to know anything. So they've got 7-5 and say, well, that's not very impressive. So things like that. His ERA is now sub 2.5, which a lot of people will look at, whoa. So some of the narrative hasn't caught up. And then the other part of it is, he doesn't get the run support a lot of times. But the biggest thing to me with Logan Webb, and I'm sure Bob Melvin and the rest of the Giants would agree with this, is, and Robbie Ray has really helped this, but you can't burn out the bullpen, especially early. So what happens is, especially with the 4 and 5 starters for the Giants being a little bit iffy this year, I think 1, 2, and 3 can be pretty solid. Robbie Ray's really good. Birdsong's coming around. Roop has been a little bit up and down. When Harrison was here, up and down. Obviously, Verlander, we talked about yesterday, has not hit his stride and has had a couple of injuries to boot. So a lot of times when you come around to Logan Webb's spot in the rotation, it's, hey, dude, you got to give us 7. You got to at least give us 7. We got to rest this bullpen tonight. And every single time you look at Logan Webb, it's 7 or 8, 7 or 8, 7 or like every single time. And the pressure's on him and he knows it. And, early in the game, he's like a lot of starters. If you're going to get to him, you're going to have to get to him early. And if you don't, he just gets into a rhythm. And somebody said this in the chat room. He's got more pitches now. It's not just, the same old stuff. He's added a couple to his arsenal, which has helped the strikeouts per 9. And he was talking about that the other day. I saw an interview with him, and it was mainly due to the Dodgers, because the Dodgers had kind of caught up to some of what he was doing, and he didn't have a great career record, ERA, et cetera, versus the Dodgers. And so in the offseason, he worked on some additional pitches because he thought they had him figured out to a certain extent. So, look, he's always been good, and we always know around here he's always been good. And a lot of places have him as the, one of the top 10 pitchers in the league. But my point is he's not just top 10 anymore. He's top 5. And he's having, 𝐷𝐭 and 𝐸𝐮 are in a different realm right now. And I'm not saying that he's above them. Those are the 2 Cy Young Award winners in each league. Those 2 guys, unless there's an injury, are going to start the All-Star game. But if you look at the National League right now, it goes 𝐸𝐮 and then it goes Logan Webb. That's what he means to this team. That's how good he is. That's a guy who, at his age, he's creeping up on 30, has changed his arsenal a little bit. If you look at his pitch mix, it's different, and that's had amazing results for him. So he's been great. So I just want to simply say that, as we know here in the Bay Area, him being very, very good, which he has now taken that step up to the elite status as far as pitchers in this league. He's a top 5 pitcher in this league, if not more than that. And I think other than Paul 𝐸𝐮, he's the best pitcher in the National League. He's probably number 2 behind Paul 𝐸𝐮 to me. So when you have that, and that's what I was talking about, and I think Buster Posey, I know Buster Posey sees the same thing. Because if we kind of transition this thing into Rafael Devers and the Red Sox coming in tonight, the thing is that he looked at that staff and said, okay, I've got the best bullpen in pitching in baseball, arguably. I have a top, maybe the second best starter in the National League. So if I'm going into a playoff series, I got a true number 1 that's a badass. Number 2 is Robbie Ray. He's going to keep me in games. So I got a right-left combination at the top of my rotation, which everybody wants. And Robbie Ray is a horse. I got a guy in Birdsong that, hell no, I'm not putting him in the Devers trade. I don't care how much you ask. I'm going to get Rafael Devers and not put this guy in the trade, because that alone would have been a negative. Kyle Harrison, I don't mind. I think he's going to be a 4-5 or a reliever. I think Birdsong has the potential to be a 1-2 in this league. And so they keep him, and then they'll figure out the back end. If Roop can be a little more consistent, if Verlander can get healthy and start, I know he's 42, but maybe he can be as good of a 5 as there is around. Maybe if he can get things turned around. Right now he doesn't, but you're going to get inconsistency out of your 5. But if you go into a series and your 1-2-3 is what they've got going on right now with this bullpen, I think they're going to be fine. But I think Buster Posey, among all the other reasons, when especially, we need a bat for this offense and a major bat, but we're not going to waste pitching like this, and we're not going to waste a number 1 starter like this. We're not going to waste a bullpen like this. And that's why he swung for the fences, because he sees vast potential in this team. But a lot of it has to do with, you got a true number 1 who's better than he's ever been. And if you go up against anybody, because Pittsburgh's not making the playoffs, so you might have the best pitcher going in the National League. So you go into any series, and as long as it's set up well and Logan Webb is your number 1 starter, you got a hell of a chance to win that game, and you're up 1-0 in a series, and off we go. And we've seen it. It's been a number of years, but we've seen it. But if you have that hammer number 1 starter in the playoffs, you got a pretty good advantage. So anyway, Logan Webb is that good. All right, as far as transitioning to this whole Devers talk, one of the guys leading the charge on this, and he seems to be not a lone wolf in this, but I hate it, because what happens is there's no sources talking about it, but Buster Olney's done a podcast, Buster Olney of ESPN, not to be confused with Buster Posey of the San Francisco Giants. Buster Posey of ESPN did a podcast with Tim Kurkjian the other day, and was talking about how others around the league were appalled about the way that Rafael Devers acted when he left the Red Sox. Then he tweeted this out yesterday. It says, with hindsight, the crossroad in the Rafael Devers situation with the Red Sox came during the meeting with the player in Kansas City in early May, when Devers told the club officials he would not consider preparing to play first base until this upcoming offseason. So one of the most confusing things about this whole situation is, and we're only going to get this from one side because the player is always the bad guy, right? It's always on the player. Player's the bad guy. And for some reason in our world, in our sports world, we all kind of dislike the man, right? That's your boss. The boss is the man making you do things. The man is the boss. But somehow in sports, it gets twisted that we're okay with management making, or with ownership making all this money, oodles of money, but we get mad at the player because sometimes they'll exercise the right to say, look, I don't want to play here anymore, or I'm underpaid or whatever. It's like, hey, you're making 20, 30, whatever $1 million. You're not underpaid. Well, the owner's making much more than that, but yet we are always on the player. So my point in bringing this up is that right now, because the whole story hasn't come out, Devers is being painted as the bad guy. To me, there's some disconnect here between this, which is Devers wouldn't play first base, telling the Red Sox he wouldn't play first base until he had a chance, basically in spring training, to work out and then play there. Maybe he didn't want to embarrass himself, whatever, had never played there before. But he's a good athlete. He's not overweight. He played third base. He wasn't great at third base, but like Bob Melvin said, if you can play at the press conference, you can play third, you can play first. So then he comes over to the Giants. The confusing part for a lot of people is he comes over to the Giants, and it's not even a question. Like at the press conference, he was asked 3 different ways. Where will you play? How did it end in Boston? Why did it? And he just didn't want to talk about it. So clearly, when this all comes out, so it's a one-way street right now. And the Red Sox, because they're getting crushed by their fans, are letting it leak out through people like Buster Olney. And you know how this all works, whether it's an Adam Schefter or a Shams or these teams, these agents, everybody uses these media members who make a bunch of money doing this, insiders, to leak certain things out. How did that meeting get leaked out in Kansas City that he didn't want to play first base until next year? I just don't think it's that cut and dry. I'd like to defend Devers for a minute, not because he's on the Giants, but just because he's trying to keep it classy as he was in the press conference. And I'm sure Buster Posey, as he said, he goes, I like how you're answering these questions. He didn't want to talk about it because he wants to concentrate on baseball. And what the hell's the point anyway in him getting into a he said, she said with the Red Sox? The Red Sox are doing it right now because they're trying to save face with their fan base. In other words, Rafael Devers is a giant asshole, and it's not our fault. And yeah, we had to take Kyle Harrison and James Tibbs, but we just had to get rid of the player. And that's what they're trying to spin to their fan base. Rafael Devers, on the other hand, tell me his motivation other than, we got to clear this up. But he doesn't care. He wants to play baseball. He wants to be liked by the fans here and by the front office. So the best way to do that is shut your mouth and play baseball. He doesn't have any motivation to straighten this thing out until the offseason when he's not playing. But right now, what's the point? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to him if Red Sox fans don't like him. The Red Sox are coming in. He's not going back to Boston. He doesn't have anything to say about it. And he's taking the smart road. Whereas Boston is saying, we got to save face here really fast. Let's leak things through Buster Olney and other insiders and tell them exactly what happened. That's their side of the story. It may have gone down like that. But there's another side to the story that we're not hearing. Clearly, he didn't just say to the Red Sox, screw you, I won't play first. And then come over to the Giants and say, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. There's some sort of disconnect. Something doesn't make sense there. Logically, something doesn't make sense. There was someone within the organization who asked it the wrong way or demanded, who was an asshole. We know how all this works. We know about office politics. This is nothing different than that, except on a grander, bigger, more public stage. That's all it is. We all have issues behind the scenes, but nobody generally cares at our office, so we really don't talk about it. But what your boss says or that side or your company says and what you think happened or what did happen are two different things. And really what happens is the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so in the offseason or at some point, Rafael Devers is going to sit down with somebody and say, this is why I didn't want to play first base. Not because he was being a jerk or anything like that. Just, somebody asked me the wrong way. These guys have big egos. I don't know. Maybe it will make Devers look bad. But it's not just as simple to me as we asked him, he wouldn't. It's not that simple. So there's something else going on. But while it benefits the Red Sox right now to try to straighten out the story now for the sake of saving face with fans, media, etc., right now it doesn't do anything for Rafael Devers to tell his side of the story. He's a San Francisco Giant. Nothing's going to change from that. He wants to curry favor with Giants fans, with the front office. And the best way to do that is shut your mouth. Who cares? Play first base here. Maybe it just comes down to a certain respect thing that he didn't feel respect. And I know that sounds silly for all the money these guys are paying. And believe me, I've screamed this from rooftops a million times. Your ultimate respect in life is how much you get paid. So Rafael Devers is getting paid about $30 million this year to play baseball. I'd say whatever. My thought process would be wherever you want me to play. I mean, logic tells you wherever you want me to play, when I'm making $30 million, you want me to DH? You want me to sit on the bench? You want me to pitch? You want me to play quarterback? You want me to play left tackle? You want me to play power forward? You want me to play goalie? I don't care. I'll play any position for $30 million. That's it. And it doesn't matter to me. So again, somewhere lost in here is some logic because he's getting paid a bunch of money. That's the ultimate amount of respect. But for a lot of these guys, it's, how did you ask me? No, who was it? Maybe he's got a problem with somebody in the front office. I have no idea. But in the offseason for Devers, it will come out because at that point he'll say, okay, here's the deal. But right now he's like, it doesn't do me any good. It just puts me in the middle of controversy, and I'm trying to focus, move to a new place. Remember, we always forget about this. There's an actual move across the country in which, and I don't know if you saw the video, he goes and gets his car. So he got taken off a plane. I can't remember they were traveling, but he was taken off the plane. He goes and gets his car, drives away from Fenway. Of course, all the cameras are there. Then the guy's got to hop on another plane, another chartered plane. He has nowhere to live. So right now he's living in a hotel. He's looking for a place to live. I don't know if he has a family. I can't remember. I think he does, actually. And so now they've got to move. It's just this whole thing. And, oh, by the way, at the same time, you got to focus and try to play baseball. And then you want him to get embroiled in a controversy of he said, she said versus the Red Sox? No. He's not doing that. He's already got enough complications going on in his life, and he doesn't really care about a story. He doesn't care if the Red Sox like him. He's never going to play there again. Doesn't care if the fans like him. Doesn't matter at all. Fine. Think what you want about me. Burn my jersey. What do I care? I don't care at all. I got 1,000 things going on in my head, and none of them have to do with how I left Boston and trying to explain myself, because there's some sort of middle ground in there clearly, but he doesn't need to explain himself now. He just doesn't have time. So I hope that makes sense. All right, now here's something interesting. I had this sent to me in my email. Let me see right here. Oh, right here, odds. So there's a bunch of odds with the Red Sox coming in tonight. So total hits in the series, 4.5. I'd pick the over on that every day, all day. Because as I just told you, he's not going to speak to it. He's going to speak with his stick, and he's going to want to crush the Red Sox. So over, under in this series on hits, I'd go over. Will Rafael Devers hit a home run in the Red Sox series? Yes is 3-2. Again, I think they think that he's going to hit one. Like it says here under the note, these odds give Devers about 67% chance of hitting a home run. I don't think there's any doubt. I might even go over 1. Like if the odds were 1.5, I might go over that. I just think he's going to become very motivated in this series. Total strikeouts, 4, probably more than that. I think he's going to be overly aggressive. What will happen in the first Red Sox series? Devers has 3 strikeouts. Devers has 3 hits. I'm going to go 3 hits. Like I said, I just think he's going to be so locked in this series. Now, this is an interesting one, and this will probably clear benches, but I don't think it's going to happen because the players aren't pissed at Devers. You hear this all the time. They understand what goes on in front offices. If the Red Sox have a screwy front office, which, by the way, this isn't the first time they've done this, traded a superstar to the West Coast for very little in return. So I'm sure the players are pissed at the front office, not at Rafael Devers. Players don't get pissed when you're out for a contract. They know behind the scenes what happened. The players do. They heard from Devers. They heard from the front office. So if anybody knows what happened, it's the players. And a lot of times, most times, players side with players. They don't side with the front office. So is he going to get hit by a pitch? I doubt it, because I don't think the players are pissed off. I think that it's between Devers and the front office. And I think most times players have players' backs because they know they're going to be in that situation at some point. So yes at 7-1, no at 1-20. I'd bet no. I'd put yes just for the hell of it because that's good odds. I mean, if you're a bettor, you got to understand, like, okay, probably no, but you're going to have to put up a bunch of money to win that bet. At 7-1, why not? I mean, even accidentally you could get hit. And then if they get hit, will benches clear? Hell, I'd bet on benches clear just because that's fun. And we have a benches clear Dodgers versus Padres, which we'll play a little bit later for you in the show. So there you go. There's some betting odds on Rafael Devers in the series. My best bet in this series, total hits. I'd go over 4.5. And I'd go home run. He's going to go over. He's going to get, I'll say he gets 5 hits in the series, so it's barely over, but I say he gets 5 hits, and I think he's going to hit a home run. And again, they're saying the 67% likelihood he does. I might even say he hits 2. I mean, he's going to be on fire in this series, Rafael Devers. So there you go. There are the betting lines for Rafael Devers against his old team, which starts tonight at Oracle Park. So if you just joined us for episode 171, Webb Most Underrated, I do have a separate little short piece on that if you missed it earlier on in the show. I didn't do Giants Need Another Bat. I'm hesitant to do it because you're going to go, what? But I'm going to explain myself. It's not the most exciting, and it sure as hell ain't Rafael Devers, but I think it's realistic. Devers odds, I gave you Red Sox in town. You know that. All right. There's a name I want to give you, and I'm sorry. In fact, you know what? I'm going to share this with you right now because I'm going to need to. Because you're going to go, who? And I'm going to explain to you why it makes sense. So hang on a second. Let me drop this onto my computer here, and I'm going to show it to you really fast. And I know you're not going to get excited, but you just got to hear me out on this. Or you don't have to. You could leave, but I'm just saying. All right, so I think they need another bat, clearly. An outfielder would be great, but Mike Yastrzemski's playing pretty decent right now. Tyler Fitzgerald is hitting 143 for the month. Like I told you, he's been worse. I just can't believe he hasn't been better. 2 home runs on the air. I thought he could be like a 2020 guy, and he's just not getting it done. So they're not gonna swing for the fences again. But they could use somebody solid. And I'm gonna throw a name out there, right there, and you're like, okay, Ramon Urias of the Orioles. And I know this doesn't make you like, it doesn't blow your skirt up. I understand that, but he's a second, short, and third baseman. He can play all 3 positions, but if you look right there, 4 home runs, 23 RBIs, again, doesn't overly excite you. 702 OPS is just below league average, hitting 266. Like, you're not overly excited. I get that. But if you look at just some stuff, like look at last year, for example, in only 272 at-bats, 11 home runs. Look back to 2022, 403 at-bats, 16 home runs. I mean, the guy's got a little bit of pop in his bat. He's got a career 732 OPS, which is about league average. He's had it as high as you can see right there. Now, that's not, it's not enough at-bats there. But, I mean, even last year was a 745 OPS guy, which is, again, league average. And then OPS plus, which, if you understand that, 100 is the average player. So he's above there. He's just above there. So he's an average second baseman to a little bit above with a little bit of pop. But here's what's interesting about this guy is that not only is he a good second baseman, he's good defensively. He's 31, so he's a veteran. But also he can play short. So Adames needs a day off. This guy can do that. Chapman right now, upgrade at third base. Casey Schmidt, which, look, I'm for giving Casey Schmidt a shot. But with Matt Chapman being out for an extended period of time, this guy can play second, short, third. And right now with, say, Tyler Fitzgerald struggling, maybe he can get back on track. This guy can play second for a while. If Adames needs a blow, he can play short. If Chapman's out for a while, you have a veteran guy who can play third. These are the type of players that are glue players that you're not overly excited about, and I understand that, but the Orioles are going nowhere. He will cost you nothing. He doesn't make a lot of money. He's got a little pop in his bat, and he can play 3 positions. And specifically right now, with the way that Tyler Fitzgerald is stinking it up at second base, he needs a break. And I told you this yesterday, and we've talked about this a lot. They don't have organizational depth. That's the big problem here. So that's why you got to go out and get a 31-year-old. I wouldn't call him a journeyman. He's better than that. But I'm also not saying he's going to save the year. But I'm only looking at it in that, is Meckler going to come up and play that? I mean, start looking at the positions. I don't know what the hell happened to Brett Wisely. Luciano is not a second baseman. He's not in anything. He's a DH, and he's not going to be around. I think he's going to be a guy that could be traded if somebody wants to say, okay, he's got some upside and some power. They don't have anything at Sacramento, or they would have just brought somebody up. But they don't have organizational depth, at least in their middle infield right now. Wisely is gone south. They just don't have it. They don't have it. And so there's a guy on the Orioles that's average to a little bit above, that's got a little pop in his bat, that can play 3 infield positions. And right now, with Chapman out, if Schmidt's not hitting, sorry, Casey. I know that we were going to give you a long run, but you do stupid things in the base paths, and you made a dumb error in Colorado. We can't have that right now. This is a team that needs and wants to do something in the playoffs, stay on track here. And he's the type of guy that, like, the Dodgers would pick up. And you'd kind of go, that's not really anything. Like, that guy, I've never even heard of that guy. But all of a sudden, he's getting a key hit at a key time. He's a 31-year-old veteran player. A little bit of pop in his bat, second, short, third, can spell right now Fitzgerald. Put Fitzgerald back down at AAA, get a little bit of confidence up, and then bring him back up. Like, something's got to be done here. And I kept screaming at the moon about this as far as Lamont Wade Jr. was concerned. You cannot just keep running players out there that suck and expect different results. Well, he'll come out of it. Well, we're looking at the season now pretty much. And this was a guy that we thought was going to get 15 to 20 home runs. He did it last year. Like, go discover your stroke again at Sacramento. I'm a big proponent of this. Go down there, have somebody else look at your swing, work on things. That's what you do. Come back in a week or two. That's fine. But this guy could be one of those players who could allow him to do that. It's not going to cost you much. He's not making much money. Cost you a flyer type of a prospect. Orioles aren't going anywhere. Just bring a guy like Urias up and just say, okay, Let's see what he can do. Veteran guy, key situation. I'd rather have him at the bottom of the order. Professional at bat. We're seeing this with a guy like Dominic Smith. Guys like this giving you professional at bats in the order. I know that that's not a Devers and it's not going to blow your skirt up, but what it's going to do is it's going to be one of those things, a glue type of guy, and you need that on your teams. And you've seen the Giants when they did win World Series, they had guys like that. Guys who you never heard of are coming up to the plate and getting key hits going, wow, okay. I didn't think that guy was going to come through, but those are the type of players that when you mix them on your team, every once in a while they come up with a big hit and you go, okay, that's smart. So anyway, there's just a thought. I know that it's not going to overly excite you, but that's a player that I would look at if I were the Giants at the deadline because they probably need more. So I said Giants need another bat, and if organizationally you don't have the depth, they got to go out and do something like that. So you can give me your thoughts. All right, before we move on to other baseball stories, NBA, a little Kuminga stuff, maybe Nick Martin, random stuff. I got a couple of great videos from you, baseball videos from last night. Anything else on the Giants before I move on? Let's see. By the way, if you definitely 100% want to get your thoughts on the show, do remember you can hit me with a sticker or a super, ask a question that way, and I will make sure to get it on the show. Good morning, Nutter. I don't know if I said good morning to you. Let's see. You had something else and I screwed up. Need to spread out their weak spots in lineup. Yeah. All I'm simply saying is, look, right now, Tyler Fitzgerald is a 0. You've already got Patrick Bailey as a 0. So it's great to get Devers, and I'm not downplaying the trade. It's amazing. It's awesome. They totally fleeced the Red Sox. But that's one move, and it's a major move. But unfortunately, the Giants' offense is so inept at times that now with Bailey being a 0, we know that all season long, you've got to fix second base now, which we thought might be fixed, but we're getting into the point of the season where, okay, we're almost to the midway point. We can't keep doing this. We can't assume a guy who's done this certain thing all season long is going to all of a sudden flip a switch and it's going to change. So right now, you know, Fitzgerald or Yastrzemski's riding that roller coaster up. So it's okay. We can hang with him for a while. But you got to now look at second base and say, okay, can we get a guy? They're not going to go out and give out a bunch of prospects. They already, made their big move. But again, if you're just jumping on here and you're going, well, that doesn't excite me very much. And like I said, I totally understand that. But this is the type of player that they're going to be looking for. 31-year-old guy, like I said, 4 homers, 23 RBIs, hitting 266, 702 OPS. But in the past has had a lot of success and can play 3 positions in the infield. Look at that. 22, 16 home runs. He's got pop. Last year, 11 home runs in 272 at-bats. He's not having as good of a year this year, but again, 702 is just below league average OPS. That's just above league average OPS, 745. And he's consistently in the 7s in his career. So at least average hitting tool with a little bit of pop in there at 31 years old that with the game on the line, I'd rather have a professional at bat like this than Tyler Fitzgerald at the plate. I just would. Or Casey Schmidt at the plate. Like I would just rather have a professional at bat, some guy that's not going to chase a stupid slider for the millionth time down and away in the dirt. I'm sorry, this guy's not going to do that. So, like I said, it's not Rafael Devers, and they're not going to get a Rafael Devers. But that's the type of move that if they were to make a move like that, I'd be like, okay, that's another really nice move, and you wouldn't have to give up anything. I mean, seriously, you wouldn't have to give up anything for that. So anyway, there you go. All right, let's see. The 1420 says, I would have thought the Devers trade would focus these guys in the bats wake up. Ridiculous not having for average at least. It'll come around. It'll come around for Devers. He'll get more and more comfortable. Like I said, we expect every time that he comes up to the plate that he gets a hit. And I think he's going to start coming around, but there is an off-the-field element to this. You ripped me off a plane, flew me across the country, had a press conference. I'm living in a hotel. Like, all these things are going to factor in. They're not excuses, they're explanations. And everybody around him's got a hit as well, and he's going to make everybody better. But that series against Cleveland the bats were asleep, and they won the game yesterday 2-1. So I understand where they are in the wild card. But what happens is when you trade for a Devers, at least for me, the expectations were probably this high for the Giants. I'm like, okay, they've had a good season at this point. They get Devers, it goes that much higher. So now that they have those kind of expectations, to me, I start looking at it and I say, wait a minute. This is a team that can challenge the Dodgers for the division. They have that good at pitching. That's not craziness. That's not a guy sitting in the Bay Area. That's fact. The Dodgers have a lot of injuries with their pitching. They've got a lot of great bats, there's no doubt, but they have a lot of injuries with their pitching. Will they go out and get a starter? Yes, they will. To what extent? I don't know. But you can guarantee the Dodgers are going to go get a starter. And I can tell you this too. They saw that the Giants got Devers, obviously. But what I mean by that is they went, okay, we thought we were going to get a pitcher here at the deadline. I think we're going to get a pitcher here at the deadline. We just saw what the Giants did in this division. They're not fucking around anymore. We got to go here to here as far as getting a guy. They're going to respond to that. And by that, I mean, they were going to get a number 3 starter. They might get a 1 or a 2 starter. So they're not going to mess around. So you can guarantee that they're going to say, okay, not that they're going to one-up them, but we're going to get a guy. You needed hitting. You've got pitching. You needed hitting. We've got hitting. We need pitching. They're going to go out and they're going to get somebody. So the Giants cannot just sit on their hands, not so they can stay up with the Dodgers, but you have a golden opportunity here. And Buster Posey saw it, and that's why he did what he did. But he's still got, he can throw a flyer pitcher at the Orioles for a second baseman who's average to above with a little pop who can play 3 positions. That's the kind of things that make a difference. Adames needs a day off. Chapman's out of the lineup, and your organizational depth is so bad within those position players and infielders that you got to hold your breath and bite your lip on 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐵. And one day he's going to hit a grand slam, and another time he's going to make a dumb base running error and kick a ball in Colorado. That's what you're getting with a player like 𝐃𝐶 Does he have a shitload of talent? Oh, my God. He has a ton of it. And maybe he's never going to realize it here. Maybe he needs to go somewhere else. It seems to be in his head sometimes. I said this yesterday. Mike Krukow during the broadcast the other night said that 𝐃𝐶 wears this stuff, that he takes it home with him, that Krukow was talking to him around the batting cage about it. You can't be that way as a professional athlete. Nobody better to tell you that than me. But you can't be that way as a professional athlete because there's 162 of these. You can't wear it. The NFL has 17. If you want to mope on a Monday or a Tuesday, which is the off day in the NFL, go mope around. But in baseball, you got a game the next day, man. You got a night game. The next day is a day game. You can't think about that. You can't think about it day to day. You can't think about it at bat to going out to the field. You can't think about an error when you're at bat. Like all that stuff's got to go away. You got to have a short memory, like a corner who gets burned in the NFL for 80. Hey, man, you got to play the next play. That play's over. Like if you're a parent, you tell that to your kid all the time. Hey, man, you screwed up on something. Live and learn. Don't do it again. I tell my son that all the time. Hey, man, live and learn. Can't think about that. Move on. You had a bad paper. You wrote a bad piece. I had a bad show. I did a bad segment. I mean, that's how I look at it. I looked at the show. I did sports radio shows for 30 years. And my general thought was I did 3 great shows a week. I did 1 really good show. And 1 show I went, what in the hell was that? That's just kind of how it goes. But you can't think about that. And we had 16 segments. I did a 4-hour show. So I had 16 segments in a show. And if I had a bad segment, I'd just be like, all right, the next one's got to be great. Like we can't think about that show. We did a bit, we tried, it didn't work. We had a bad guest on. Like one time, Papa and I had the great Red Sox legend, speaking of legends, he wanted to have Luis Tiant on. And I really didn't, but I was like, okay. He was like 85 years old. And he spoke broken English. And it sounded like he was smoking a cigar. And I couldn't understand a word he was saying. And Papa was not in the studio. He was on a line. And I was texting back and forth. And we got to let this guy go. And he kept asking him questions. And people on the text line were like, we can't understand a damn word this guy's saying. And I'm like, yeah, we got to go. And I got a talk back button. And I'm talking to my producer. I'm like, hang up. Say we lost the line. We've got to go. And so finally we acted like the line had given out. We just hung up. It was terrible. And it was probably 3 or 4 minutes of radio that we were never going to get back. People were pissed. They couldn't understand. We went to break. And during that break, I just walked into the studio and I said, look, man, we got to be better. That sucked. We're not doing that again. Scratch him off the list. Forget about it. Let's go. And then we had a great rest of our show. I mean, it just happens. And 𝐃𝐶 got to be able to learn that. And he hasn't yet. And if you can't, then I got to go to the Orioles and get the second baseman that can play second, short, and third, like I said, because you're at the point where you're not building anymore. The minute you make a Rafael Devers trade, you're not building. It's not about next year. It's not about the year after that. It's about right freaking now. The clock is ticking. You got Rafael Devers in the prime of his career. And you gave up, maybe not the most to get him, but you're paying him a lot of money. So all of a sudden, you're now truly a contender. You expect it. Your team expects it. Your front office expects it. The people that are going to write those checks expect it. The fans expect it. That's just how it is. National media expects it. Now there's a pressure on you. So you can't sit there and run 𝐃𝐶 out there every single day and watch him make a mistake and go, he'll learn. You got to go do something about it and get some vets. That's why I'm bringing this guy's name up, even though it's like, bleh. I don't know about that guy. All right. There we go. Sorry. Went on a little bit of a tangent. I'm back. Jeff Bezos, did you hear this story? And I'm bummed out because he's going to buy the Rays, it sounds like. And I wish he would buy the A's, not the Rays. But it sounds like it says the Rays reportedly in advanced talks to sell Major League Baseball team at $1.7 billion valuation. Jeff Bezos, he has that in his couch cushions. He has that 1 day of sales on Amazon. He is the Amazon czar, if you did not know that. Oops, sorry. I wanted to put that back up there. So they're clearly, obviously, because their dome got wrecked, and so they're playing currently in the Yankees, which I've been in that park. It's not bad, but it's just, it's an A-ball park, and it's their spring training home in Tampa. But that's where the Rays are playing. Can you imagine what Jeff Bezos is going to do with the Rays? Now, look, I tell you this all the time, and I was on in Seattle radio yesterday when we were having this conversation. Not all owners want to win. So I don't know if Jeff Bezos wants to throw his money around so that the Rays can win. I don't know if he wants to go up into a box every once in a while and say, look what I own, and just add that to his bunch of businesses. I have no idea. Just because you're a rich guy doesn't mean that you're going to sink the amount of money that's necessary into the product, even if you have the kind of money that Jeff Bezos does. But my point in bringing this up is I'm really jealous because I wish John Fisher would sell the A's to this guy. Could you imagine what they could become? Like, that scares the hell out of you. When you got a guy that's one of the richest guys in the world, like when Paul Allen owned the Seahawks and the Blazers, and was like, no, and he wanted to win. And he's like, we'll do everything. We'll have every resource. Like, the Rays could become, in that division, think about it. You got major markets like New York, Toronto, Boston. Like, he could just bolt to the top of that, even from Tampa. Like, I got enough money, doesn't matter. Just, and he's got connections, and I don't know, he could connect Amazon to it somehow, and Amazon TV and all this technology he could have, and it'd be ridiculous. I'd just love to see him be an owner to see what he would do. I'm just fascinated by it. But anyway, I'd like it to be someone other than the Rays, because the Rays don't do anything for me. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Rays season ticket holders will be the prime fans. He's going to connect it all. I mean, I don't know. But he's just going to connect everything. It's all going to be, it's going to be on Amazon TV. It's going to be all, like you said, you're going to be able to order stuff from your phone, all the tickets, all the, just everything is going to be, technology-wise, top of the line. It's going to be interesting. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, I'd rather, but I don't own by the Rays because I really don't care about the Rays. As far as the NBA is concerned, Indy forces a Game 7. Fairly surprised. If Indy doesn't win this thing, and I did see Game 7 lines already favoring Oklahoma City up to 9.5 points, which would be the biggest Game 7 in like 50 years as far as odds are concerned. But Indy, what's crazy about this is with last night's win, Indy, when this series was 2-1, they should have won that game. They could have easily won this series already. Oklahoma City is probably going to win a Game 7, but we know how Game 7s work. I don't know. I mean, if they're going to roll that thing up to 9.5 points, I'd probably take Indy just because I think there's better value there. But they do force a Game 7, and I think we forget one guy. And there was a lot of talk that the Warriors years ago were going to try to acquire him. Pascal Siakam has been awesome. I mean, I know all the talk for the Pacers is around Halliburton, and he's really good, but he's been so up and down. He's been a major roller coaster ride in this whole thing, and a lot of it is due to injury. But Pascal Siakam is vastly underrated. And he's the only reason that they're still in this series. So Indy forces a Game 7. As far as Kuminga is concerned, I had somebody send me this. And we'll get more into the Warriors in the offseason. I'm just not in Warriors offseason mode until the NBA is officially in the offseason. I use this comparison or analogy all the time. It's like, you eat breakfast at breakfast time, eat lunch at lunch, eat dinner at dinner. Sometimes breakfast for dinner is awesome. But for the most part, it's just kind of how it is, right? Is you eat things at certain times. So when the season officially ends, I will be in NBA offseason mode, and I'm just not there yet. I'm just not in NBA offseason mode yet. But believe me, we'll do a lot of NBA offseason stuff, not only with the Warriors, but just NBA in general, because it's fascinating. But I had this sent to me yesterday. I think this was this ESPN? Because it looks like ESPN writing to me. So somebody sent this to me, did not tell me where it came from. What a complicated trade. First of all, this is not going to happen because you can't get 4 teams to agree on anything. It's hard to make a 2-team trade. A 4-team trade, no chance. So some sort of fantasy land here where Milwaukee just blows their team up. So let's try to follow this along. So just from a Warriors perspective, they say Giannis goes to the Warriors. Draymond Green to the Lakers. Let's see. And then a bunch of stuff to Milwaukee. So they lose Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Trayce Jackson-Davis, 29 first-round pick, and 31 first-round pick. So again, for Giannis, you're giving up, let me do this again. Giannis, you're giving up Draymond Green, you're giving up Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, and a 29 and 31 first-round pick. And what Giannis does for you, obviously, is you needed size. So Giannis gives you that in the short term. And then in the long term, because Giannis is only 30, he's your build-around piece for when Steph, Jimmy, Dre would already be gone in this scenario, Steve, etc., go. And then what you've done is you've literally, like, you always think to yourself, the Warriors are all in. The Warriors are all in. This would be the ultimate all-in piece because you get Giannis, which is dandy, but Podziemski, Kuminga, Green, and 29 and 31 first-round picks. So when everybody's gone, Giannis is standing around. He wouldn't approve this because, remember, in the NBA, the players have so much power that they have to approve everything. That's why I'm going to get into Kuminga in just a second here, separate of this. But that's why I doubt Giannis would say yes to this because in the 2-year period, so this is what they'd have. They'd have Giannis, Curry, Jimmy. What else would they have? Because they traded Green, Podziemski, and Kuminga. So they'd have basically Giannis, Jimmy, and Curry. And they'd have to play 3-on-5 every single night. So does that big three plus surrounding him with whatever you have that's left over from that? Does that big three beat what Oklahoma City has right now, especially if they win a championship and they have that championship swag? If if San Antonio were to get Kevin Durant and add that to what they've got, would that old Golden State team beat that? Probably not. So maybe they'd be third in the West, but I'd have to look at the roster and see, okay, what would they have remaining? Look, I like Giannis. He's really, really good. There's no doubt about it. He's second or third best player in the league right now. But you are giving up Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, and 2 first-round picks. Not sure. I'm not sure if I'd do that. As far as Kuminga is concerned, there was a lot of talk, and I think it might have been on a Kawakami podcast, that Joe Lacob said it would take a lot for me to trade Jonathan Kuminga. Now, remember, as much as Joe Lacob does the final rubber stamp on deals, he loved James Wiseman. He traded him. He loved Klay Thompson. He let him go. He's gotten smarter in the years because remember, at the beginning of Joe Lacob's tenure, they signed DeAndre Jordan to that offer sheet. They were thinking about trading Klay for Kevin Love in a deal, and Jerry West said, absolutely not. I'll quit if you do that. There was talk when Dwight Howard was still pretty decent that they wanted to go after Dwight Howard. That's when they were pretty irrelevant, and he was trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat constantly. So he's calmed down since those days, and he generally lets basketball people make basketball moves. In other words, they sit down, and this is a team effort for the Warriors in the front office. They all talk, and then they say to Joe, what do you think? And Joe doesn't just go rogue and say, this is what we're going to do. He'll say, you know what, if that makes sense, okay, you're the basketball people, I agree. I'm not saying he does that every single time, but you can see that, for example, he was the final stamp on Jordan Poole leaving, even though they gave him the big contract. He said, he loved James Wiseman. He traded him. Gary Payton II. He traded him. So it's not like he's not making tough decisions and saying, we got to do the things we got to do. He likes Kuminga, apparently. Kuminga likes him, but it's going to come down to this because the power of the NBA players have more power than they've ever had, and they have the most power of any player in professional sports, NBA basketball players. They're going to go to Kuminga and say, look, we're going to sign you to this. We're going to match any deal out there. That's what they're saying. We'll see. We're going to match any deal out there. You're a restricted free agent. We want you to come back. But Kuminga's going to have to agree to that. And what I mean by that is his agent could go to the Warriors. They get a great offer from somebody. And his agent could go to the Warriors and say, let's just work out a sign and trade. He doesn't want to screw around. You didn't have him in the rotation at the end of the year. Nothing's changed as far as this team is concerned. The analytics say he does not play well with Steph, Jimmy, and Dre. And during the season, Steve looked at those analytics and said, Kuminga doesn't fit, and he's not even a rotation piece. Now, the Warriors might say back to him, well, you came back from an injury and Jimmy was here and we didn't have time to work you in. It just happened all on the fly. We promise you that if Jonathan comes back, we're going to work him in and he's going to get his minutes. If I'm Kuminga, I ain't buying that. And it's not because I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to, be this all-time superstar and turn into what 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐽𝐼 is for Oklahoma City when the Clippers traded him. Had they known, they wouldn't have traded for Paul George. They wouldn't have traded for Paul George as the main piece. But Kuminga's not going to turn into that, in my opinion. But if I'm Kuminga, I'm just talking about his camp. Not that I've earned it or anything like that, but I just want a fresh start. Like, I've seen other players in my draft class. Jalen Green was in his draft class in Houston. They've had a number of guys have had success from that draft class. Franz Wagner, who was taken right after him by Orlando. I mean, these guys were put on bad teams who just said, you're going to play. And that's what Kuminga wants, I'm sure, to just say, look, I don't know how good I am, but I'm never going to find out on your team. And by the way, you took me out of the rotation at the end of the year, and then you broke glass in case of emergency because Steph got hurt and you needed offense, and I provided it for you. That wasn't surprising to anybody. It wasn't surprising to me or you. But I tell you this all the time. There's a lot of players who can play within the context on a bad team and score 25 a night, and then you put them on a good team and they disappear. That's Kuminga to me. I think Kuminga is going to go to a team where they need him to play 35 a night, no questions asked, and he'll score 25. And he'll grab 7 or 8 boards, and then Warriors fans will scream and yell, we never should have traded him. When reality is he wouldn't have been that player here. I was in Portland. Jermaine O'Neal, of course, ended his career with the Warriors. And Jermaine O'Neal was 17 years old, and we used to watch him when I was on the beat for the Portland Trailblazers, and we used to watch him. And, they had Rasheed Wallace, and they had Dale Davis, and they had Arvydas Sabonis, and they had all these different guys ahead of him in the pecking order as far as the front court, as far as size were concerned, and he just never got a chance. And so he actually got traded. I said Dale Davis. He actually got traded for Dale Davis after the Lakers knocked out the Blazers in a Game 7 in the NBA Conference Finals, and the Warriors thought to themselves, we need more size against Shaq. And Dale Davis was a big guy, but he wasn't big like Shaq. You couldn't guard him. So they added Dale Davis, a veteran. They traded Jermaine O'Neal to Indiana. He made the All-Star team, 6, 7, 8 times. But he was never going to be that on the Blazers. They just weren't going to give him that chance. And it's the same thing with Kuminga. He's just never going to blossom here. And I'm sure he and his agent have talked about it. And so the Warriors might, as Joe Lacob said, he said it's going to be really hard for us not to match an offer for him. But I think it's going to be Kuminga and his side coming to the Warriors and saying, we don't want you to match the deal. So let's work out some kind of a sign and trade. Let's work out with a team. I want to get money. You want to get size. Obviously, that's what the Warriors, that's their number one thing this offseason. We've talked about this a million times. In the Western Conference, you got to have size. Oklahoma City has it. San Antonio has it. Denver has it. Houston has it. Like, anybody that you're going to go up against in the playoffs is going to have more size. And the only team that doesn't have it in the West is the Lakers, and they're just as screwed as you. So they need to go out and get size. Well, you have a vehicle in Jonathan Kuminga that can bring you that size, and he doesn't want to be here. So whatever you think of Kuminga, that's not really the road I'm going down. What I'm saying is that I saw the podcast where Joe Lacob said, well, we want to match the offer. Well, Jonathan Kuminga and his side are going to say, we don't want you to match the offer. So let's do a sign and trade. How about that? So we'll see. But we'll do tons more about, and I wasn't even going to do that much on Kuminga today. But we'll do a lot when the NBA season is over. So I haven't been doing a lot. Obviously, we've been focusing a lot on the Giants for good reason. But as soon as the NBA offseason hits, then we'll start looking into it, both from a Warriors and a national perspective. But right now, we still have a Game 7, which I didn't think we would have at this point. So we still are in the season. So there you go. As far as the Niners are concerned, did anybody see this? Now, I saw this yesterday. Let me double check on something. I meant to double check on this. I saw this randomly yesterday and put it in my notes, and then I didn't see it in any other place. Let me see here, because I guess there was a story that Trent Williams was working out with Nick Martin, the rookie linebacker out of Oklahoma State, and he might have broken his thumb now. Let me see here. Now I don't see it, so I don't know. Probably shouldn't have put it on my board today, but I had heard that, and now... Okay, here it goes. It says 49. Nick Martin broke his thumb lifting weights, but don't panic. He didn't miss practice and expect to be ready for training camp. All right. Okay, that's good. I just don't want things to be going sideways on the 49ers. So there is word that Nick Martin broke his thumb, which you never like to hear that because, you're a defensive player. You got to wrap your hands, all that kind of stuff. Nick Martin. Okay. So anyway, there's that. Okay. All right. Nick Martin. Okay. Nick Martin suffered a minor thumb fracture a few weeks ago, but did not miss any practices. Okay. Not need surgery, expected to be fully healthy by training camp. All right. So doesn't sound like a big deal. All right. As far as random things are concerned, let me go back out to the chat line to make sure that everybody is intact. And then I got 3 videos that I'm going to call the Sweet Clean Family Friendly Caboose Pistol. I got 3 really good baseball videos for you to play. Weird stuff at the ballpark yesterday. All right. Let's see here. Anything else today before I move on to things? Yeah, I did see Rowdy Tellez being DFA'd. I don't see how he fits. He's a Northern California guy, but I don't see how he fits on the Giants. I mean, like if you had pinch hitters like you used to have, that'd be cool. If they didn't just get Devers at first base, that might be something that you would look at, but I don't think that's something that they would look at. Anything else here? Okay. I think we're good. All right. Just wanted to double check that everybody's good. All right. Let's move on. I'm going to play this as fast as Sweet Clean Family Friendly Caboose Pistol, how we end every show. It's not exactly caboose material, but I don't know. I just like playing the Caboose Pistol open. So I got 3 baseball videos for you that are entertaining. At least I think so.
John Lund Unleashed presents the Caboose Pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old Caboose Pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say caboose?
I know some woman who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
All right, let's start with this one. Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Dennis Santana. Did you see this? So I don't know what the fans said to him, but most ballparks, I'm trying to think, Chicago, you can't get to the bullpen. I used to love sitting down the first baseline, and we would razz the starter and the relievers at Oracle Park, but they've since moved them. But you can access them if you're out in center field. There's a lot of ballparks. LA, you can access the opposing pitchers, and you can yell at them and stuff like that. So there's lots of Seattle, you can do it. I'm trying to think of all the ballparks I've been to. Most ballparks you can access during the game the opposing and the home bullpen, and you can yell and scream at him and stuff like that. But clearly Dennis Santana did not like something that was said to him. But here's the thing that blows my mind. I think it's the first angle that I'm going to show you. There's a security guy standing right next to him and like allows Dennis Santana to like reach out to fans. It's like at that point you're the security guy. And it's like you got to get between the guy and the fans and be like, dude, like no. So I don't know if Dennis Santana is going to get suspended. I don't know what the fans said, but here you go. Take a look. Take a watch. Okay, so here's no sound, but see the security guy right there? And then he finally gets in there, but it's like, the first angle's better. Like, watch right here. See the security guy standing right to his right, and he's pointing at a guy who probably said something very unsavory to him, and I understand that. But before he can dive in and start taking swats at the fan, it's like, dude, and he does it after. So he swats at the fan, and then the security guy gets between him. It's like, dude, watch, keep going. See, like right there, see, he's ready to swing, and the security guy's just standing there. Like, dude, you need to be in front of the player. You're supposed to get between the player and the fan. He waits, lets Santana get in front of him, and then Santana swings at the fan, and then he makes his move. Watch. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, see, then he gets in front of him. Like, dude, get in front of him before. And then finally the bullpen coach is over there like, what's everybody asleep? Like, this dude is up against the wall there and going at it with fans. Security guy's standing there. At first he's behind him. Then he finally gets ahead of him. And then the bullpen coach, like, what is everybody like just watching this? Like, you can't do that, dude. I know that they're probably saying really bad things. It might be about your mother. It might be racist. It might mean like, look, I'm not excusing the fan. What he said, I'm sure that they got him and they should kick him out and they shouldn't let him back in any ballpark ever. But as a security guy, you got to be better, bro. Like, I gotta play it again. Like, look, get ahead of him. I'll wait till he swats him and then I'll get ahead of him. Like, what are you doing, dude? Anyway, so there's number one, Dennis Santana with the fans. See right there. And that's in Pittsburgh. You see how they're all wearing Pittsburgh gear? So that's at home. That's a home game. Like, normally it's a road game and they're giving you grief. So, like, there's a guy in the Dodgers pen and that thing's so down, it's not like you could reach him. You could reach him at Oracle. But, like, that's right there. I mean, that's pretty damn low, but that's the home fans. And so the home fans, and like I said, I worked in Pittsburgh. My son was born there for a brief time. And, they're just probably telling him how much he sucks and how much the Pirates suck. And he's like, I've had enough of it. So anyway, there you go. There is Dennis Santana. So there is weird video number 1 from yesterday. Weird video number 2. Let's say the Dodgers and the Padres for last. This dude gets kicked out for this. Is this a kick-outable offense being removed from the premise? So it's not a baseball, obviously, and everybody loves getting a baseball, but this guy climbs the netting behind home plate, Cubs Brewers yesterday, to get a bat, and then he gets kicked out. Watch this. Yeah, I disagree with him being thrown out. Like, let me get this last part because that's the best part. Let me move this back a little bit here. Well, let's see the bat. So watch the bat.
Look out.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Sure
You got that. But let me go ahead. I want to go ahead to where the guy climbs here, right here. The guy gets up on it like Spider-Man. First of all, see where he's standing right there? That's his seat. That's his seat. So, I mean, that's, I don't know how much the guy makes. Maybe the guy's lucky. Maybe, I don't know. But, I mean, he's paying quite a few bucks. Now, those are the seats where probably the food and drink isn't, included. You're right next to the, and deck circle from Milwaukee for the opposing team. You climb the fence. You probably shouldn't. Isn't that just a warning? Like, yeah, I mean, you could hurt yourself, and then you could sue him or everything like that. But really climbing the netting is a fireable offense in this case. He shouldn't have gotten kicked out. I mean, he should have been able to, and if he does get kicked out, then he gets to keep the bat, doesn't he? I mean, I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. I think that, that's an expensive client right there. I don't know if those are his season seats, but if they're his season seats, he's pissed. That's in Chicago. People are cheering. They're drinking during the day. Day drinking is awesome. It's a Thursday afternoon day game, and the guy climbs up to get the bat. I don't see a problem with it. Now, you got to give him a warning and be like, hey, maybe an announcement, please do not climb the netting. Thank you very much. I mean, something. They got to do something there, but to get kicked out, yeah, it's a little much. Don't agree with that at all. So give me your thoughts on that, the Cubs fan. So we got Dennis Santana, we had the Cubs fan, and this is last night between the Dodgers and the Padres, and I'll preface it with this. Baseball fights are so stupid. Like, guys running in for the bullpen. Nobody's fighting. We haven't seen a really good baseball fight since Mike Morse got concussed by Jeff Samardzija, his own player, when Bryce Harper charged the mound. Like, that's the last good lick we got in a baseball fight. Like, they just don't happen. So what's funny about this is Mike Shildt, the manager of the Padres, and Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, they're going to go at it. Like, we want to see two old men fight. But anyway, here it is. Tatis gets hit in the hand. And then now today, by the way, Manny Machado's coming out saying if these X-rays come back and he's got broken bones, then the Dodgers better be watching it. And so back and forth. So it's fun for the Giants to sit back while the Padres and the Dodgers go at it. But again, the overriding factors you're watching this is baseball fights are stupid, especially when two old managers are trying to threaten each other.
Oh, boy. And now the bench is clear. Oh, look at Doc going out there.
See the bullpen guys coming? What are they going to do? Coming from both sides. Look at the bullpen guys. This is where Dave Roberts and Mike Shildt go at it like two old guys. Like they're tough guys. Okay, so let me fast forward this whole thing because I'm going to get it up to Dave Roberts here. There you go. Now look, they'll start fighting. And by the way, because the Padres are up 5-0 and this happened in the ninth inning, there's no Dodger fans there. They all left. And so you start hearing a chant of Dodgers suck in their own stadium.
Right now.
Because there's no Dodger fans there. Look at him. He's trying to call out Mike Shildt. Yeah, let's just go a little one-on-one. Shilt's like, shut up. I'm old. You're old. I'm fat. You're fat. Like, really? Look at him trying to talk shit.
Look at
Come on.
He didn't know where he, yeah.
Dodgers suck. Dodgers suck. Because all the fans are going. Because it's 5-0 in the ninth. Anyway, there you go. Baseball fights are so stupid. So, especially with like two managers, they're pointing at each other. Come on. as they back up. That's the funniest thing is guys, no matter what, whether they be managers or players, what they do is they're talking trash and pointing at each other as they're backing up. I'm going to get you. Yeah, you're going the wrong way. I'm going to get you. You wait. Yeah. Wait, you're going the wrong way, man. He's that way. They don't want to fight. Nobody wants to fight. And then the bullpens come in. Nobody's fighting. Stupid. So dumb. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with Tatis, but that's not good. But yeah, it does my heart good when you see the Dodgers and the Padres fight. And then you're just sitting back going, I guess we'll just win games and you guys can fight each other. All right. I think that is all I have today. Yeah, that's all I have today. Episode 171, Webb, the most underrated pitcher. If you want to see my fine video that I did again, that's at JohnLundUnleashed.com. It's got all the stats and all the kind of stuff. The most underrated pitcher in baseball. Spread the word. Giants need another bat. I gave you a second baseman from the Orioles. I know that doesn't really excite you a lot, but that's the kind of glue player they need, and I've had enough of Tyler Fitzgerald, and he can play shorter third. So when Chapman comes back, because I don't know how much longer I can deal with Casey Schmidt either. Devers odds. I showed you all those odds. I would go over on some of those things. I'll pop them up one more time before we get out of here. There's our Devers odds by Vegas. I'm going to go over the total hits in the Red Sox series at 4.5. Will he hit a home run? Yeah, he's going to hit a home run, and I think he might hit 2. Over strikeouts, I'd probably go over that because I think he's going to be really aggressive. 4. Will he have 3 strikeouts in a game? I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think he's going to get hit by a pitch because it's not the players who are mad at him. It's the front office. Will the benches clear? Please no, because we just saw the benches clear, and it's so dumb. Red Sox in town, BEZOS to own the Rays. Indy forces a Game 7. Kaminga talk. We'll get into a lot of NBA offseason when it is officially the NBA offseason. Nick Martin's thumb, the linebacker, rookie out of Oklahoma State for the Niners. Doesn't seem like that's a big deal. Random things. We did a little random today, and I used those last baseball videos as your sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol. Anything else today? Let's see. Yeah, I got rid of – that's right. I wish it into existence. Look, I thought Fitzgerald was going to be better, man. Good athlete. Looked like he could be like a 2020 guy. Really compliment things. All I'm saying is the same thing I said about Wade. Put him in AAA for a minute. Get a veteran up here. See if he can work on his swing. Don't let him just sit there. Cost. That's what I mean. I don't even like to. Tacky. I don't even like to talk about cost. Like that's the organizational depth they have. No, thank you. Oh my God. Can't have that. I forgot. What else do we have? Anything else? Hi, Perry. Thank you for saying that the show is great. What else do I have? Okay. All right, here. Yeah, somebody hold me back. I was like, come on, man. You're going the wrong way, Dave Roberts. The fat other managers on, going that way. Let's go. Get in his face. All right. That's it for episode 171. Don't go anywhere. I got a bunch of good stuff that I'm sending out later today, so make sure that you stay with us all through the day. So here's the drill. John Lund Unleashed. Make sure that you subscribe. So if you're watching on X right now, at John Lund Radio, come over and subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram, at John Lund Radio, come over and subscribe. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, please come over and subscribe, all those kind of things. Hit us with the like before we get out of here today so that the algorithm will like us and think we're not a half bad show. And also keep those alerts on all day long. Please, as that big B says in the corner, Bay Area Sports Collective. Please make sure that you are subscribed there as well. Much appreciated. And one last thing, as we always talk to you about, please make sure that you are saying hello to my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐬𝐫𝐵𝐿. My wife went there yesterday. As a matter of fact, they put her in this chamber so that the stem cell stuff works better. It is awesome. So anyway, click on that QR code right there if you want to feel better. She's doing the stem cell therapy. Dr. 𝐬𝐸𝐵𝐿 was one of the first in California to do that. He is amazing. I'm doing the low T with Dr. 𝐬𝐸𝐵𝐿 as well. I'm telling you how much better that makes me feel. And he does all sorts of other things for not only to feel better, but to look better for men and women. So make sure you check it out. And if you can't hit that QR code, because I took it off the screen, all you got to do is look it up at your favorite search engine. Google it, whatever you want to do. 𝐬𝐸𝐿 is RIOPELLE. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐬𝐸𝐿, right there in San Ramon. It's worth the drive, I'm telling you. And the best thing you can do, tell Dr. Jeffrey 𝐬𝐸𝐿 when you make that appointment that I sent you over, and he'll be like, cool, I'll give you a little something extra. So please don't forget to do that. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐬𝐸𝐿 right there in San Ramon. Look him up, Google him, Jeffrey 𝐬𝐸𝐿, 𝐬𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine, Reappel, and they do great things for men and women, not only make you feel better, to make you look better, all those things. So make sure that you check it out. All right, that will do it for episode 171. Everybody have a tremendous, tremendous Friday, and keep those alerts on so you know when we will be back. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!